Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. Yes, it's the live show. Yeah, Tuesday. What happened to Monday? Oh yeah, Monday was a bank holiday, wasn't it? Oh,
just disappeared, didn't it?
What happened to April? Oh yeah, that was last month. We're in May already. Is it just me or is the time just flying by? That's a sign of age. Tell.
Daddy.
What?
So you can do for that one. You can do your W sign.
I'm still 22.
He just had a long paper round, Alex. There's no need to be nasty.
Oh dearie me! The show's not even started yet, and there's all this laughter. Guys, see you on the other side of this music intro. Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder. Like I said, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. I just feel a little bit jaded, a little bit tired. I'm back in my work placement, first day today. I won't get into it. But what I will get into is, like, guys, as usual, make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell notification button so you can be part of this community, Des. Not a Comcast.
Yep.
No,
do it.
Community.
Do it, ladies and gentlemen. Do it.
Do it. All right. So first on the bits and pieces I want to talk about, and maybe the guys will chip in once we're up and running, is in regards to yes, Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry has come out with some comments about this Daniel what the heck situation. Yeah, Thierry Henry speaking as a guest on Monday Night Football. They said, I think it's going to be a long and not easy if it does ever happen. What's he talking about? Well, Daniel Ek wants to buy Arsenal from the Cronkies. Now, he goes on to say that, Daniel Ek will not give up on his bid to take over Arsenal, regardless of the Cronkies' stance that the club is not for sale. He says, I know a lot of people want to hear about the takeover, he told Sky Sports on Monday Night Football. It's true, Des. It's true. Daniel is an Arsenal fan. He didn't say it for any publicity. He is an Arsenal fan for a very long time. He's already an Arsenal fan. He's been for a long time. I'll give you something. Reached out to the Cronkies. Listen. The short and tell of the story is they are serious, Des. There is some legs in this story, Des. It's true.
To be honest, mate, I think they are serious now. I think you've got to add a little bit of seriousness to this now, because Daniel Ek doesn't seem like he's going to be going away. He seems pretty serious about it. I mean, again, I don't want to get our people and the fans' hopes up, because you just don't know what's around the corner. But one thing I will say that I do respect, excuse me, is how Henry has spoken about it quite openly, because I think it gives the fans, and obviously our lovely people here, transparency, and they're not hiding anything from anyone. Okay. And I also know that things have been said that the Arsenal supporters, they've been to speak to them, haven't they? The Arsenal supporters trust have been to speak to them. So they're keeping it all above board, really, I think, if you want to put it in layman's terms. And I also think, because the Cronkies don't know what an AGM is, do they, Tell? They don't know what an AGM is. No. So, to be honest, if this is how they want to run the club, it looks very positive. And all I can say is that if the Cronkies want a way out, Daniel Ek is and the consortium are definitely giving him a way out. You know, I think Kroenke has him and Josh have dug their heels in. Silent Stan have dug their heels in because of the demonstrations and trying to say to fans, look, it doesn't matter how hard you push, we're not going to go. But I genuinely think now we have to take Daniel Ek and the consortium seriously. And I think if it happens, touch wood, if it happens, it'll be a great thing for Arsenal, because I think they'll get more fans involved. I think there will be shares there for the fans as well. So for now, it's looking really positive. We just got to keep everything crossed, I think. It could be a very interesting summer.
before I go to Eltel, Des,
Yeah.
Arsene Wenger has said actually last week that the best deals are done behind closed doors. You don't hear about the deals, and once it's revealed, it's done. So Daniel Ek has been open, it's been quite transparent, but shouldn't it have been kept behind closed doors, Des?
No,
Should he
no,
even...
I don't think so, and I don't think Arsene Wenger is right here, because Arsene Wenger has done a lot of good for our club, but in a way, he also did a lot of bad. He supported the Cronkies. To me, he supported the Cronkies. He didn't support the fans. Yeah, at the end of his tenure. That's just how I feel about it. And I think, to be honest, with Arsene Wenger now, it's none of his business, really. And if Daniel Ek and Terry Omri and Bergkamp and Mr. Vieira want to tell everybody, go to the roofs and shout it from the rooftops, because at the end of the day, let's be honest, Alex, we like to know things as they're happening, and it will make a lot of Arsenal fans, genuine Arsenal fans, very, very happy. And that's how I feel about it. So thank you for asking me that question.
It's all right. You're welcome. Eltel.
Well, I think that the thing that might change it all is the fact that the British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, waded into the argument. Now, he's famous for watching which way the wind blows and then running in front of the army because he's saying this way, because he's seeing that it's going to blow in a certain way. And of course, he did say he wasn't going to have a situation, or he's going to pass laws to stop an owner using a club like a plaything. Now, if we were to go down the sort of German line, although Boris won't call it the German system, but if we were to go down a system which didn't allow Kroenke full control and didn't allow him full profits, Kroenke might decide to cut and run. I still doubt it, because I still think he sits there thinking Arsenal are like the goose that is about to lay the golden egg. And even if, and he's getting a bit worried because he's losing money, and he would rather, move things along and have our European Super League. But he's prepared to wait, and it will definitely come back again, probably within 2 years, certainly within 5 years, and they will have given it a different name. But the biggest problem he's got is if the law changes. Now, if the law were to change and give the fans 50% plus one in terms of voting rights, so they wouldn't own the club, but they'd have the 50% plus one share of the voting, then suddenly Stanley Kroenke's in serious trouble. Because if the fans got together and created up a head of steam, and if the all of the clubs, not just the clubs that were sort of chosen, but all the rest, the sort of Leicesters of this world and other clubs that are doing very well but weren't included, if they all put pressure on the British government and said, you're going to have to pass a law so that we can't just be the sort of plaything of very rich oligarchs, then that's probably going to worry him. And he's going to have to play a very tricky game here. He's known as Silent Stan, so he's going to say very little. But I get the feeling the tide is turning against him. And certainly Daniel Ek has done exactly the right thing. If apparently he's been trying to negotiate behind closed doors, and obviously he's been met with a profound no. So he said, right, okay, then I'm going to get together, as I've been saying for a long time. If you go back on Cannon Fodder programs, he's got to get together a consortium of people, ideally lots of people that can come in as a syndicate that are going to buy it, but certainly have lots of ex-players backing him, supporting him. And I do believe there might be a bit of a protest on Thursday before the match. I hope it doesn't turn out like the Manchester one did, where they got into the stadium. I hope if they're going to protest, just keep it peaceful, get out the sort of banners and so on. So there is a chink of hope that we may be able to wrestle back control. it's going to be touch and go, and it's going to be a long, hot summer. And I don't think the initial bid was it 1.8 billion. I don't think it's going to go for that. I think it's going to be over 2 billion. He's going to want to save face, because these very rich guys, they are not just about making money, they're also about saving face. And he doesn't really want to have it flashed up on American TV screens that fans in capital city of the UK are on the warpath and trying to get him out. He will be talking to the Glaziers at Manchester United as well. They'll all be talking to each other, and they'll be saying, are we riding on the wrong horse here? Is it time to sell up our interests? I still doubt it. And unfortunately, money tends to sort of beget money, doesn't it? But you never know. There's a slight chink in his armour. And if Daniel Ek can do it, but then I did say before, be careful that we don't end up jumping from the frying pan into the fire. We want to make sure that Daniel Ek, he says he wants transparency. Well, if he wants transparency, I think the first thing he can do is say, if he's going to own the club either outright or in a syndicate, give us this fan share system whereby we can have shares in the club in terms of voting. So he would still own it, but we would be able to control by our one extra share from the sort of club being turned into something we aren't interested in.
But Tel, you know, when the news broke last week, Daniel Ek said that he's got an alliance with Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, and Patrick Vieira. I mean, what can they bring realistically to the party? Why is he enlisted those principles? I mean, what can they do?
They are window dressing. They are purely window dressing. I know Bergkamp has a bit of a reputation of bringing through some of the Ajax youngsters, so he might have a role. But neither Thierry Henry or Patrick Vieira have been successful as managers. And I can't see a role other than an ambassadorial role, you know, meet and greet, that kind of thing, you know, front the club up, you know, on the TV and so on. But I don't see them having a role. If I was manager, I would want to pick my management team. I wouldn't want them to be drafted in on top of me. But you know what I was thinking, and we're not reading this in the press anywhere. When you think about it, for the last 2 or 3 years, Arsenal as a football club has been lurching from left to right to backwards to forwards. We've had Raul, and we've had Raul buying Pepe for 72 million. Something very funny happened there, and some guy called Lewis was put in by Kroenke to try and figure out what was going on financially, and suddenly Raul is gone. Then Mislintat came in a little bit earlier. Then he vanished, and he said he wasn't having any more of it. And the club has been lurching from left to right. And this is not how you run a school. You wouldn't run a primary school like this, let alone an internationally famous football club. It's been a total mess. It's been ham-fisted. It's been embarrassing if you sit down and think about it. And here we are. We are the people who make the club what it is. We all know that. The famous analogy is the word church. I suppose you could say temple, you could say synagogue, you could say, Muslim place of worship. But it's the real church, or any of those other things I've mentioned, is not the building. It's the people. That's what makes the church or the synagogue or so on, or temple. And at the end of the day, all Kroenke's bought is an empty stadium, an empty training ground, and he's got some people that he can hire and fire, and he's got players. That's all he's got. Well, as we've seen, if you haven't got fans coming, and we will get through the pandemic, it's looking good. There's a long way to go yet, but in a year or two, I think we will have put the worst behind us. But without the fans, there is no sport. And as we've all tried to prove to Kroenke, without competition and without relegation and possibility of failure, there is no sport. We are not just an entertainment. We aren't just like going to the theatre. And all those things he didn't factor in. And of course, he's an American, and in America, that's how sport works. You can't possibly lose because it's all about the big American dollar. So Kroenke's really stepped into unknown territory here. You can bet your bottom dollar, there we go, an Americanism, that he's getting advice. He's talking to the Glaziers. He's talking to all the other people that have got their finger in the pie. But let's see what's going to happen. But if Daniel Ek is serious and it's not a publicity stunt, then I hope if he is successful that he cuts the fans in on the deal so that we can no longer lurch from billionaire to billionaire.
Des, you're bursting to say something.
I'm not bursting. I'm listening to Tell, and he makes a lot of sense.
I've got a question for you.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Club, who've been kind enough to make a donation towards the channel. The question is, Des, where is Dan Gotti in all of this mess?
To be honest, he's got too much other stuff. Dan Gotti, he's got too much other stuff going on. I don't think, and as I think I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Sorry, but he hasn't come with a deal, a proposal, shown the colour of his money, whatever you want to say. So I think we really have to forget about Dan Gotti for now. If he's serious, he'll pop up again. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted to say about Ek and the guys that here's another scenario I just want to chuck your way. Now, this probably will not happen, but let's just say the Kroenkes dig their heels in, right? And they're waiting for this European Super League to take off because they've said they're going to review it again in a couple of years' time, whatever. Why doesn't Daniel Ek, if that's the case, why doesn't Daniel Ek do the Phoenix Club? Why doesn't he buy Highbury, like we've suggested in the past, give everybody that lives there a massive amount of money and say, go and live somewhere else, as an example. And why doesn't he build the old Highbury and do if it all goes bad, let's say, because we've still got no guarantees it's going to be good, why doesn't he buy Highbury, build a Highbury ground and do the Phoenix Club? Because that is another option, and that's my other scenario to you. I agree with Tell, everything that Tell said. Money is money, and money is the root of all football. There's no point saying evil because it is the root of all football. So if the Kroenkes, we've heard it for weeks. They don't want to sell. But then Daniel Ek comes in with a 1.8 billion. Yeah, as Tell says, it's probably going to go over 2 billion because they never settle at the first price, do they? So, that's another way I can see it going if the Kroenkes don't sell now. But I do also think if the Kroenkes don't sell, Arsenal's fan base could be severely affected. There has to be still demonstrations, and like Tell says, and like what we've said in the past, they have to be controlled. They don't have to be like Man United. No police need to get hurt. But with respect to that as well, the police shouldn't have pulled their batons out. I think they went a step too far as well with their batons, to be quite honest. And the guys that they were actually asking to move back, as an example, they couldn't move back because there was barricades in the way. But then fans also shouldn't have gone to the hotel and were demonstrating at the hotel, which was just across the road, wasn't it? So I don't agree with the way Man United fans have done it. But they got themselves, the thing is, they did get themselves noticed. Because when I was watching the match on Sunday, the second half, most of it was in a split screen. Because they were watching what was going on at Man U. And this was on an American channel. So America knows about it now. The Glaziers can't miss out on it. Kroenke can't miss out on it. It's the way football's going. And unless these people get out, like we want them to, it's going to keep going that way. Because fans won't stop. I mean, look at you last week, Alex. One-man demonstration. Wolfie Smith. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The North London one. You know what I'm saying? You've got to respect it. And if if these owners aren't going to respect their fans. I mean, look at Roma today. They've taken on blooming Maureen. You know, Maureen is now the manager of Roma, but he'll have an easy job there because they're a defensive club. I don't think Maureen will ever manage in the Premiership again. I genuinely don't. But coming back to Arsenal, we need some positivity. And at the moment, the only positivity we can hold on to is that Daniel Ek has made a bid. Okay?
Yeah. Tel, do you want to say something quick before I go back onto
Well,
my next?
yeah, unfortunately, we can't reconvert Highbury back into a stadium because there is the football clubs have to be so many miles apart, which is why when Arsenal originally moved from Woolwich, Tottenham put up a big argument that Arsenal Stadium was too close to White Hart Lane, but they managed to persuade the authorities. I think as the crow flies, it's about 5 or 6 miles. So we couldn't do that, but obviously this thing down in Woolwich, this Phoenix club, Dial Square FC, is hovering in the background. And if Kroenke's not careful, the Phoenix will take flight, and more people will start being interested in buying a share in it. They may not want to trek all the way down to Walthamstow, but it may start to sort of gather pace. And as AFC Wimbledon proved, it is possible. It is possible to set up. Now, Man United have tried to do the same with AFC United of Manchester, haven't they? They play in green and yellow. Not sure quite how that's going. So that's a little thing that Kroenke must be also thinking about. Is this a problem? Is this a fly in the ointment? And I'm beginning to think as well, you know, if somebody said to us that we don't understand the way Americans tick, you'd have to kind of nod and say, well, you know, I've not lived there. I've lived there for a short period of time, but I don't fully know how Americans tick. And he certainly read the English football supporters' psyche completely wrong. He thought he could pull this off without too much trouble. And he can now see that it's not just the 50 or 60,000 people who follow Arsenal around the UK, and you've got probably just the same amount of people around the world that will tune in and buy the merchandise, but you've got that multiplied by every single club. Now he's suddenly not pushing a small rock uphill, he's pushing 1,000 really heavy rocks uphill, and it could get very nasty if the players realise that Kroenke is pushing and fans start to sort of boycott. The first thing they'll do, we've discussed this, is to boycott any of the stuff that the club are selling, which no doubt will be 3 new kits next season. 3 new kits, for crying out loud, right? And if you've got kids that support them, they go, Dad, buy me the kit, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And if he's not careful, Kroenke, it could dribble away. And one other thing I really disliked, I don't know if people picked up on this, Josh Kroenke called fans that have been supporting Arsenal for maybe more than 10 years, we're known as legacy fans. So we aren't fans, we're legacy fans. And we're the ones he's most worried about because we remember better days. We remember us getting to big finals and winning lots of silverware. We remember some wonderful times in amongst the tough times too. And the moment you can name a group of people, you can put them into a box. And the moment he called us legacy fans, I thought, dangerous. So you've got the young fans and all the rest of us. And obviously, as the years go by, he'll have more of the younger fans who are used to the club not being owned by proper custodians. And that's the people he's talking to. And us lot, we're just, you might as well say, the old fans, as well as saying legacy. It's a euphemism for the old ones. That's not good. The moment you can start to box people And they do this, if you look back through history, regimes do this. You don't have to look much further than Nazi Germany. Once they start to box people and give them a name, a pejorative name, suddenly the whole thing changes. I don't want to get too much into the history, but the moment I heard that word legacy, I thought, this is dangerous. So he's dividing the fan base. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? He's got the young fans who don't know times before Stan Kroenke, and then he's got the legacy fans. So I don't like this. It's turning very nasty. And if it's up to, well, if they're going to push me, I would have. Well, I wouldn't happily boycott it, but I would take part in a boycott. And let's see how far he goes with a virtually empty stadium. And I hope then, if that happens, if they start taking our season tickets off us, I hope Danielette comes in and says, right, anybody who's had their season ticket taken off them because they've boycotted, you're going to get your season ticket back when I own the club. Then the fat is in the fire. Then the sparks are going to fly.
Well, listen, Godfather, if you're gonna boycott, I'll be beside you.
Good man.
Yeah, brothers in arms.
Same here, mate. I tell you now, I know what fan I'd rather be.
Yeah. Here. Let's go on to the next segment I want to talk about. Was in regards to our number one goalkeeper. I am number one. I was number one, and I will be number one. Yeah, you're having a laugh. You're having a bubble bath. Anyway. Bernd Leno's stance on new Arsenal contract revealed amid talks to surprise summer transfer. Arsenal goalkeeper Bernd Leno has spoken about his future at the Emirates Stadium amid the talks that he has told the club he would like to leave in the summer transfer window. You can go. I'll show you the way to go. Bernd Leno could be a surprise Arsenal departure this summer. There's speculation that the German international has informed the Gunners of his intention to leave the club when the transfer window closes, less than a year after his former rival for the number one spot, Emilio Martinez, was sold to Aston Villa. Now, there are some more bits and pieces there, but I am number one, I will be number one, and I will remain number one, but I'm leaving Arsenal. There's...
How many number ones are there?
Say again?
How many number ones are there? So if you take number one and add a number one, but then... So he's actually -4.
Something like that, yeah. I was never good at maths.
Short and sweet, right? Short and sweet. He can go for me.
Yep.
He's a midget.
Yep.
He hasn't got control over his legs, right? And he's one of the easiest goalkeepers to nutmeg when I say that, okay? The biggest mistake Arsenal made this season, or maybe for the last, I don't know how many seasons, put your own number to it, please, community, because you know what I'm going to say, was letting Martinelli go. I would have let Leno go over Martinelli. We should be having Martinelli in between the sticks this season. Look how many clean sheets he's had. Yeah? Okay. And to be honest, Martinelli with Ryan as the backup goalkeeper would have been a good combination for me. Okay. I don't like the guy. He's got too high what's the words I'm looking for?
Opinion.
He thinks of himself.
Opinion.
Yeah. He thinks of himself too highly. Yeah. And I would 4 or 5 of the matches have been his mistakes. Easy. So for me, keep it short and sweet. Off you go, Leno. Enjoy your life. Get on with it, son.
Yeah, I think what happened in the euphoria of the FA Cup win, we made two errors, two big errors. The first one was, instead of saying to Martinez, look, we're not sure because we've got 2 good goalkeepers. Stay till Christmas, and if you establish yourself, we'll sell Leno, and you could tell Leno the same. Stay till Christmas, and if you establish yourself, we'll sell Martinez. And I think it was Keown was saying that it looks as though Arteta's not got anybody above him with a lot of experience. He needs somebody like David O'Leary, who's been a manager, maybe Niall Quinn, who's been a director and of Sunderland. He needs some people around him that are older than him, have seen it come and go, and can give him some timely advice. And that would have solved that. They could have kept Martinez, But what they could have done was to say, look, we're not sure. We're all in the golden days of we've won silverware. Please just stay with us until Christmas and we'll make a final decision then. And the second massive mistake they made in that euphoria was to buy Willian, the W. So 2 massive mistakes. And, if you add those 2 up, they have created a lot of problems for us this season. I don't know if you've noticed when Leno lets in a goal, he started to do what Mustafi did. He throws his arms out at the Arsenal defenders and shakes his head as if to say, well, it's your fault. It's your fault. Well, the one that went in between his legs is his fault. And I don't like that. And there's probably been a few words been said in the dressing room. And also one other little fact comes to mind. One of our goalkeeping coaches, was it Andy Woodman? And his son is called Freddie, and he plays for one of the teams in lower down the league. I think he might be on Brentford's books, but he's out on loan. But and his son's big guy, 6'3" or 4. I guess Andy's a big guy. And Leno went to Woodman fairly recently, within the last 5 or 6 weeks, and complained about the main goalkeeping coach, which is the Spanish guy Iñaki Caña, right? Who favours, he's about 5'7" himself, and he favours short goalkeepers. And there's been trouble. Trouble has gone on there, like in all organisations. And of course, suddenly Woodman's gone, booted out. Yeah. So if you, these are the bits and pieces that we're hearing. Now, there must be 10 times more going on behind the scenes. That's where you need an old head. You need somebody, and Edu's too young for this. You need somebody to go in there and say to Arteta, look, you've got enough on your plate. I mean, Arteta said this himself. He's had to cope with all the problems with Ozil and getting out players who were not interested in playing for Arsenal. Then the pandemic came along. Then VAR came along, and we've suffered badly with it. And his constant trouble he's had in his first period as a guy who actually is in charge of a football club instead of being like an assistant. So he's had an awful lot on his plate. Now, we should have had somebody above him, and I don't mean Raul. They should have had somebody from, if they'd had a proper board of directors, we would have had somebody there, maybe an ex-Arsenal person, to say, look, I'll deal with this Woodman problem and this Iñaki Caña problem and whatever Leno's complaining about. I'll deal with it. And instead, it feels like it's always down on Arteta. And he's just trying to do too much. He's keeping too many plates spinning. Somebody's got to help him behind the scenes. We shouldn't be hearing. That's the other thing. We shouldn't be hearing about these things. So someone's leaking this. So there's bad feeling there.
So would you keep Leno? Sorry. Would you keep Leno?
Well, you see, I don't rate Leno other than he's a shot stopper. But I personally like goalkeepers that are in charge of their area, who kind of
same here.
Who will dominate that. When back in the day when I was a kid watching Arsenal, we had Bob Wilson, and we had two centre backs who were short. For Frank McLintock 5'9.5" and Peter Simpson 5'11". But the deal was that when the ball was knocked up high into the area, the goalkeeper claimed it. Job done. Yeah. And we've seen Martinez do that. He can time it perfectly. He's a big guy. He decides when he's going to go, and he's gone. He's got the ball in his hands all over. What happens with Leno is, even though he's quite a big guy, I think Martinez is 6'5", Leno's 6'3", but he's something in his head about, I'm going to stand on my line and let my centre-backs deal with it. And as we saw, that doesn't always happen. That doesn't always work out. So, and I don't like this business of complaining about other, if a goal goes in, don't start complaining about other people.
Totally.
And I would take him aside and say, pack it up. Now, it's quite possible Arteta has said that to him, and he forgets. because it's in his nature to try and blame somebody. We had it with Mustafi match after match. And did he go to Stuttgart? He did, didn't he? And he was doing it there. Every time the ball went in and it was his fault, he'd turn around and wave his arms at the Stuttgart players. So, you know, there's something not right. And I feel sorry for Arteta because he can't do it all. Somebody above him has got to say, I'll deal with this, right? And goes in, talks to Leno, get him into a room and say, and maybe they have talked to him about it, and then he's turned tail and go, all right then, if you're going to be like that, I'll leave.
Oh no. Here's a comment there for you from DWTT. Right. There's Ronison in versus Emmy out. What's worse?
Oof.
Oof.
It's got to be well, Gary, my brother from another mother. It's got to be Ronison in, isn't it? I would have kept Emmy all day long, my friend. All day long. In fact, I'd let Leno go to Tottenham. That's how much I don't like Leno.
Let him go for a free.
Have I answered that one, Alex? Is that all right? Ronison. It's got to be Emmy. It's got to be Emmy in and Ronison out. I think you've got the words round the wrong way, Gary.
No, but he's saying which one's worse, though, isn't it? Ronison in or Emmy out? Which one's worse?
Oh, which worse?
Yeah.
In a way, they're both the same because. Yeah, Emmy out. Yeah, totally. But I don't even want Ronison in either. But you know.
Yeah.
If I had to pick between them two, the worst one is Emmy out, dude. Yeah, straight up.
For you, Tel?
Absolutely. We got rid of a true Arsenal guy. He'd been at Arsenal his entire career. He lived and breathed Arsenal. He cried after winning the FA Cup. He's my kind of guy. He lived and breathed. He loved the Arsenal. All he ever wanted to do was stay at Arsenal. And we should have said, you know what? We're going to keep you. And if you can show us in the next few months that you're better than Leno, which he would have done, then we'd say, right, you're in. We're going to give you a nice fat contract and sell Leno. And we'd have got more for Leno than we got in the end for Emmy.
Yeah. Can I also say, though, respect to Emmy, just before you carry on, mate, respect to Emmy because he's gone to Aston Villa and his standards haven't dropped. So you've got to respect the man for that. Yeah, you've got to respect the man for that, haven't you?
Yeah. Right, let's go into the live chat for the first time. Guna Matters, evening, gentlemen, Eltel, Alex, and Des. And Gary says, hello, Alex, Eltel, and the Enforcer? Or is that Des? I'm so confused.
The one with the beard was the Enforcer.
Oh, but I'm still the Enforcer, fella. Don't you worry about that. Oh, God. I know where you live, Tel. It's all right. I'm only coming round for a cup of tea, mate.
Arthur Alex says, good evening. Russ Morgan also says, good evening.
Good evening, guys.
Do you believe this sale will happen, Des? We're hopeful.
Well, yeah, that's all I can say. I'm hopeful. It's looking positive so far.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be a kink in the road, but who's to say there won't be down the line, you know?
Yeah. He goes on to say, Arsene Wenger helped set us back many years, Tel.
I agree.
Absolutely. I agree with Des or the Enforcer, whatever it is. That Arsene Wenger did. Of course, what he did was he did what his employer wanted. But unfortunately, that set Arsenal back. And now this has been a hole we've been digging for a long time, a long time in the Wenger years and since. And now the only way out of it is a slow clawback. I think that Arteta won't lose his job. I think he's been told that because he's far cheaper to keep him and allow him. He will make fewer mistakes as time goes by. I think he'll keep his job and he'll get some kind of a war chest. Not very much. I think he'll probably, Eddie knows now he's got to sell Bellerin and quite a few others. To a certain extent, it's a real shame because everybody's listen, since we were kids, we're told obey your parents, do what your boss wants once you get out into the world of work. And you do that. And then occasionally, certainly when I was a young teacher and I saw things wrong in a school, I used to talk out, and it used to be very fiery in some of the staff meetings. And I've calmed down now because I was one of those idiots, like we all were. I didn't care, you know. And if I thought
still don't care.
And no, you're right, man. And I remember people coming up to me after staff meetings saying, we completely agree with you, but we're frightened to front the boss up. It's not, you know, where I'm currently working, but, 20 years ago, I was a firebrand, you know. But you don't, listen, Wenger didn't, unless he's greedy, he didn't have to do what Kroenke told him. He could have said, no, I'm off. And then, see, I often wondered if people can think back to when David Dean lost his job. Dean and Wenger went for a meal in an Italian restaurant somewhere in the Islington area. And Dean persuaded Wenger not to resign. Now, I've often thought, what if Wenger had said, you know what, if they're going to get rid of you, I'll go as well. Wow. That would have been the move to make. So all that happened is we've had this slow descent into it's not oblivion yet, but we're heading in the wrong direction and we're picking up speed.
that would have been a power move. That would have, if they'd have done what you just said, Tel, that would have been a power move. And I'll tell you now. Sorry, go on.
No, it would have been great because you would have had a fan base split in half, and then instead of letting it drag on, that would have brought it all to a head. And maybe it should have come to a head all those years ago.
Yeah.
Can I ask Arsenal Alex a question? Does he want Arsene Wenger back? Put in the comments if you want Arsene Wenger back.
Okay, I think he's probably gone by now, but
maybe.
See. Gary says, Wenger's comments, KSC has been working in silence, and this is where we are with the club. Time to speak up, Arsenal. If not, let someone else talk for Arsenal. And that kind of leads into what Twisted 666 says. Hope everyone will be there this Thursday. I'll be there a little bit earlier. I need to be back in time to prepare and watch the game, but I'll be there around 5 p.m. You can join me. I'll be going live for that one there. The Assembled says, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. Arsenal Alex says, hit the likes buttons, people. When Eck makes an offer for Arsenal because Kroenke is driven by the dollars, he could play the delayed tactics to either have Eck back off or have him bid higher than the initial expected offer. Now, anyone who's like bidded for something, you don't go with your highest offer. You always go with your lowest offer, and then you slowly build up. So, yeah, if it's true, he's going to go with a $1.8 billion bid. That's going to be his lowest point. That's not going to be his highest point. Not that I've ever bidded for anything anyway. Not yet, anyway.
Well, it's like when I joined Cannon Fodder, my fees were £1.99. They're now £2. So that's progression, guys. Do you know what I mean?
Des, have you got a spare £1 billion somewhere underneath your mattress or something?
Do you know what? I was talking to my missus the other day, and I've got a little time capsule in the garden. I might have to dig it up. I'm not quite sure how much is in there though, but I'm sure we could club together.
All right.
Maybe buy a seat. Actually, Alex, right? Actually, you know, with this passive income thing that is going around now. Now, if Eck took over, okay, and shares became available, would you go into your savings and would you genuinely buy some?
Yeah. Yes, I would. I would.
You would. There you go. Because that would become passive income, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've never held a season ticket in my life.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah.
I've never known what it felt like to have a ticket. But yeah, to your question, of course I would buy shares. Of course. Why would I not want to buy shares?
I thought you guys would, but I just wanted to clarify because if I could, I definitely would.
Yeah.
You know, if there was at a price that we could all afford, I'd be up there with you guys.
I think you'd also have Arsenal Supporters Club issuing this fan shares thing. So say shares are, I don't know, £5,000 or something, then they do a fan share where if you put in £100 and another
Yep.
load of people put in 100, then you'd actually share. You'd have a part of a share, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be just people who've got a handy few bob lying around. It'd be people who just say, "I own a little piece of this club." I mean,
sorry, that's my dog. Sorry about that.
right,
Someone's just come in. I apologise.
He certainly said yes to whatever I was saying anyway.
Yeah. I think my dog was agreeing with you, lads.
I could see him
Nice one, Hamish. Nice one.
No, I think Eck is making all the right sounds, isn't he? He's making all the right moves. We've already discussed the fact that Thierry Henry would only be a figurehead or an ambassador. He would be very unlikely for him to have any kind of role in fact, that we can wipe that out straight away. There's no way Arteta would allow himself to be forced into having to take on ex-Arsenal players. It's completely up to him. Having said that, with Liverpool over the years in the past, they did have what they call a boot room, where they promoted from within. And we did that in the past. We had Bertie Mee, who was the physio. Then we had Don Howe, who was like an assistant manager. Terry Neal, an ex-player. George Graham, an ex-player. So we kind of did promote as much as possible from within the club itself. And I've always said that there's definitely a place for people like Martin Keown and Lee Dixon, who are both very skilled at explaining tactics on TV. And I've often thought, why don't they? They'd probably do it a day a week for free. Why don't they just get the defence and defensive midfield aside and say, this is the way you do it? Because we're still not defending well. I mean, maybe we should talk at some point today about the way we're currently playing. And we still aren't defending well. We haven't made up our minds who our best centre-backs are. We've got all kinds of different full-backs and wing-backs coming in. And defences work best when they're settled. And everybody knows where they're going, what somebody's doing. And it's I don't see that yet. And so that's the first problem. And the second one is, and I hope this happens on Thursday. I'm sure you'll talk about this nearer the time. But I do hope they relook at how we're going to break our opposition down. If you're going to break a team down, you can't just flood the forward line with forwards and have them squeezed out of it, as we've seen recently. And the only way that will work is if you've got superior players, which Man City have. And I would like to see us do what we did against Slavia Prague, which is go out with the mindset of we're going to have to score goals here, a serious amount of goals. But the first thing you must not do is let in a goal, because that then becomes, in the event of a draw, that then becomes worth double. So you keep it really tight, but you spring out at them and you really don't let them settle.
Yeah. All right. Love Your Hands says, I'm also wanting to know, where is Gotti? He's gone missing in action. Twisted 66, I hope so, because you don't want Alex walking around there alone again. Yeah, one-man band on my jacks, all alone. Ah, dear.
Power to you, Alex.
Say again?
I said power to you.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. In the art of business, first offers are never taken. If so, then you realise you overbid or underbid, depending on the side you are on. Yeah, you don't go in with your highest bid, depending on how much money you've got in your pockets. The Game TV says players are everything. If you haven't got players, you haven't got a team. Well, that's quite obvious, to be honest.
That's page one. That's page one of the book, isn't it?
Yeah. The first cover, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, the only good thing if Arsenal lose to Villarreal, is there a good thing if Arsenal lose to Villarreal? Is that Arteta would be sacked. I don't think so.
Do you know what? Do you know what it is? Can I just quickly say something, Alex? Yeah. Do you know what it is? Everybody is assuming, okay, that if we lose on Thursday, Arteta's going to be sacked. I think you've got to stop thinking like that, guys. The only time you'll know that Arteta is sacked, right, is when Arsenal release it or Sky Sports let you know. Yeah? Don't be having your fingers crossed and thinking, oh, this is the beginning of the end for Arteta. Because end of the day, while the Cronkies are there, Arteta will be there. So don't get your hopes up on that, because you're going to be disappointed. And I'm not saying it to annoy you all. It's just the truth. And even Tel has said it. Arteta, while the Cronkies are there, is safe. That's it, period.
And don't forget, Arteta is now the cheap option. He's the cheap option. They aren't going to start getting these big managers that are going to cost a fortune and want a war chest. So they are going to leave Arteta exactly where he is. That's the one thing I think that won't change.
Colin Young says, good afternoon from the States.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Good evening, Colin. Tel, I could listen to his knowledge all day of Arsenal.
Well, I could tell you that yesterday was the anniversary of Arsenal winning the championship, the first part of the double in 1971. And in case you're interested, my dad and I went down. It was a Monday. I think it must have been a bank holiday Monday. We went down to Tottenham's ground. We got there at 10 to 4 and we queued up till 10 past 7. It was a crush. There were cars being crushed and it was a nightmare. People going out with claustrophobia, and we still hadn't got to the turnstile. Then we were met with a brick wall and we were putting our feet against it and trying to push back against the crowd. But we did finally get in at 10 past 7. I believe there were thousands locked out. And, of course, Arsenal won it in the 88th minute. And even at the end, if Tottenham had equalised, we wouldn't have won the championship, because in those days it was done on goal average, and a 1-1 draw would have given the championship to Leeds. So a lot of people forget this, but after we scored the goal, George Armstrong crossed and Ray Kennedy headed it in, right in the area my father and I were in. Spurs broke away after that. Cyril Knowles, their fullback, who had a good shot on him, shot, and luckily Peter Simpson, who's our number 6, put his leg out and it hit his shin, and it went over the bar. So people rave about all the players of the double team, but I'll never forget Peter Simpson's shin. And without Peter Simpson, we wouldn't have done. And it was just a fantastic evening. Coming back, there were 2 buses back, 2 bus routes going back to Highbury. So you had to get a bus to Manor House and then a bus to Highbury. And it was just full of Arsenal people. And I was still a school kid, and we were all meeting each other on the bus and screaming. And of course, the following Saturday, Arsenal completed the double by winning the FA Cup. So this was the start of the new era for Arsenal, really. So I've got thousands of stories that, because I lived in Highbury, everybody knew everybody else. In fact, one of the people who lived near me, they were second cousins to Charlie George. So you'd be bumping into people who were linked with Arsenal all the time.
Yeah,
I've had an idea. Tel, I've had an idea. You should get in touch with Audible and see if they'll let you do an Arsenal history.
Yeah, could do.
You should do. Sorry, Alex, carry on.
Yeah, there's Alex. Arsenal Alex is responding to your question. No way, Arsene Wenger back at Arsenal.
Arsenal Alex, that's the answer I wanted to hear, mate. That's all. That's the only reason why I was asking it.
Guys, unfortunately, my time has run out on this one. I've just been going. I said I wanted to get this inside an hour, and we are just 7 minutes short. What I did want to say is, on Saturday we're going to be doing a special. What special was that, Alex? Well, you have to wait and see. 71 double winner special. I haven't assembled. I haven't spoken to anyone yet about who's going to be coming on the show. I imagine Elto will be one of the first guests, and maybe Des might be invited as well. So it's going to be like a special show on Saturday, talking about Arsenal's double winning side. Yeah.
I'll do me research.
Got to do your research, yeah. And so do I as well. Now, I have invited a special guest. Unfortunately, she's not able to make it. Jill Armstrong, who's Geordie Armstrong's daughter. She's been asked by so many people to do special, and I think she's probably feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I said, don't worry, she's given the blessing to Cannon Foy TV. So we're going to do the best that we can to just kind of recall the events leading up to Arsenal's double winning side in '71. I was alive. I was alive. I was alive. 6 years of age, but I don't remember.
I wasn't. I was born the year after.
Well, I'd like to say to people, if they do want to follow Jill Armstrong on Twitter, please do. She keeps her account going in honor of her dad. I met her dad a couple of times, and I did want a favour off her a while ago. I wanted to contact one of the ex-players, something personal that I wanted to share with him, and she contacted him, and I was able to DM him and tell him a wonderful story. I don't want to share it here, but it was just a story very close to my heart, and Jill did me a wonderful favour there. So please, she just loves people finding her account and following it. And of course, if you knew her dad was, I suppose, the nearest you've got to George Armstrong would have been Santi Cazorla, 2-footed, but he had pace. He had very 5'6", but it was a bit like George Best. You couldn't tell whether he was left foot or right footed, and he had pace. And if he lost the ball, this is a thing George would do. He'd go back. If a fella got the ball off him, which is very rare, he would run the whole field until he got the ball back. And it was week after week, season after season. I think the word is indefatigable. But it was, and I saw George. Can I just give you one story? Celtic were approaching the Champions League, or the European Cup as it was called, in about, was it 67? They beat Inter Milan, I think. And my dad and I decided to go and watch Arsenal reserves at QPR. And I was only a kid, and it was it must have been maybe the quarterfinals or something of the European Cup. And we turned up at Queen's Park Rangers ground, and the snow was coming down. And we were trying to listen to the Celtic match on a little transistor radio, and out trots George Armstrong. Okay, he's probably coming back from injury, and the man ran his heart out in a reserve match. I never forgot it. I told Jill Armstrong, I said, that's the match that so few Arsenal fans will have seen. But this guy, he was just fantastic. He just ran and ran. It didn't matter whether it was a reserve match, whether there was snow coming down. He ran and ran and ran and just had so much skill. Unfortunately, he came through at the time when Alf Ramsey had England's wingless wonders, and he didn't have wingers. Otherwise, George Armstrong would have been a cert for the 1966 World Cup team. So there you are, a story about really an Arsenal legend, an absolute legend, and everybody loved him. It was known as Geordie Armstrong, 5'6" and a bundle of tricks. A wonderful guy, wonderful man.
All right, just the last comment in live chat to be read out. I know. Yes, who is he? Ian Barron has asked a couple of times in live chat for me to read out his live chat. So, Cannon Foy TV, Darlington fans do a boost the budget scheme for the running of the club for next season. We have raised just over 50,000. Our target is 120,000 plus by the end of the month. So, anyone's able to kind of support Darlington. I know they're struggling. They've been struggling for quite a while. So, if you've got any spare coffers, or you can do a GoFundMe page to support Darlington. Ian Barrow, yeah, I've read your comment in the live chat. Listen, we're done on this one. We're finished. Thank you for joining us on this one. I will be back tomorrow evening, not tomorrow morning. I've got my placement. I won't get into that. But anyway, before I finish this one, is it the Enforcer? It is the Enforcer. Is it?
It is. Rah! Rah! Hear me growl. Beard or no beard, guys? What do you think? Beard or no beard?
Beard.
Really? Oh my God! I thought everybody would say no beard.
Well, actually, we'll put it up to poll at the end.
Yeah,
we'll put it up to poll. Yeah.
Can you put in it mustache, clean shaven, goatee, or beard.
Not a Gotti.
Not a Mrs.
Des.
The Mrs. said not a goatee. Sorry.
Des, look, from Ashley, from the
Oh,
enforcer to
what?
Harold Steptoe. Cheeky
You cheeky.
so-and-so.
Oh, you nearly made me swear there, Ashley D. Nearly, very nearly.
Original Godfather, thank you very much for joining us for this one. I'll be back tomorrow evening, giving some more live news. Arsenal, it's just no let up. So Leno, are we looking to leave Arsenal in this summer transfer window? Yes. Daniel Eck, what the heck? It's true, Des. It's true.
Oh, I know. It's true.
Yeah. Anyway, and we're out on this one. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell.
Give a thumbs up, guys. Don't forget, otherwise I'm coming to get you.
You've been told by the enforcer. These two guys wearing their hats. Anyway, until then, I shall see you tomorrow, almost at the same time, same place, a different